Hello Monday, a nice new week. And there is economy things to be looking at. Doug Short's chart here is NFIB Small Business Optimism Index for the United States of America. And it goes back to 1985. And basically, there was a recession in 1991 and it dropped down to about 92, this index. But since then, give you an idea, in the tech crash it dropped down to about 96. But in this recession that has gone, it dropped down to about 82. Really out of all proportion deep compared to all the other drop downs. But that was at the end of 2008, 2009. It's come up 2010. It's come up. But it's still only at 92.6. It's basically got its way up to where it was at the worst that it's ever been since 1985. So for the small business, the bedrock of United States employment, they are still not very confident about the future. US consumer spending for February, from February 2009 to January 2011. This is a Gallup poll, and this is just a regular Gallup poll that they've been using for years, so it's very, very stable. And it wobbles around the 60 mark, but since it was 60 in September, it went 63, 66 and 72 up in December. But the projection down for January is down to 90, down to 55, which is a monstrous drop. I mean, it's out of, it normally goes in a little waves of nothing, but this is a real drop down, and there's a good chance that the American public have decided that their New Year's resolution is not to spend money, which is going to hurt. Chicago Tribune, more banks walking away from homes, adding to housing crisis. This is banks walking away from homes. Research shows 1,896 red flag homes in Chicago appear to have been abandoned during the foreclosure process. A new type of property is adding to neighborhood blight, the bank walk away. Research to be released Thursday last week, the first of its kind locally, identifies this 1,896 red flag homes in Chicago. Most of them are in distressed African American neighborhoods that appear to have been abandoned by mortgage servicers during the foreclosure process. So banks walk away and try and hide it from the local government. It's a breakdown of law and order, because that starts with people breaking the moral code before they actually break the written contract code. Los Angeles Times, neighboring states gleeful over Illinois tax increases. Springfield, while many states consider boosting their economies with tax cuts, Illinois officials are betting on the opposite tactic, dramatically raising taxes to resolve a budget crisis that threatened to cripple the state government. Neighboring states gleefully plotted on Wednesday, last week, to take advantage of what they consider a major economic blunder and lure business away from Illinois. And that is in the United States of America. FT Alphaville, an 80 billion mega inyeccione for Spanish banks, ? Just as the European Central Bank announced that Spanish bank borrowing resumed its upward trajectory last month, 70 billion in December, up from 64 billion in November, El Confidencial reporting that Spain is preparing a massive capital injection of between 30 billion and 80 billion euro to clean up the CAJAS, C-A-J-A-S, local savings banks. A couple of questions come up from that. Where is Spain going to get the money from? And would even $80 billion euro be enough to clean up the Kayas, the local savings bank? I don't think so. Right. Bloomberg. Austria pays premium to France on 4 billion euro bond. I've pulled this paragraph out. The extra yield investors demand for holding Austrian instead of German bonds is still the highest among the top 5 rated non-German issues in the Eurozone. That spread started to widen 2 years ago amid lingering concerns that Austrian banks' investment in Eastern Europe may go bad and require massive state bank bailouts. Now, you're probably drifting off now, so I'll repeat that last piece there. That spread started to widen 2 years ago amid lingering concerns that Austrian banks' investments in Eastern Europe, they invested in Eastern Europe in Eastern European currencies, or the loans were taken out in Eastern European currencies to be paid back in euro. Now, the Eastern Europe currencies started to go down in value, so they were struggling to repay the loans in euro. But this last bit is the most important bit of this paragraph, I think. May go bad and require massive state bank bailouts. In other words, Austrian sovereign debt was getting hit because it's absolutely taken for granted that if the banks have trouble with their bad loans to the east, then the country will come in behind the banks. And it's just interesting that it's written in the Bloomberg article as though this is the total natural progression of things. Investment in Eastern European may go bad and require massive state bank bailouts. It's just totally and utterly normal, the done thing, the way life is. Bloomberg as well, Denmark's inflation rate rises to 2-year high on fuel prices. Denmark's inflation rate rose in December to the highest since October 2008 on higher fuel, food and tobacco prices. Denmark is an interesting case. It's not part of the Eurozone. They don't use the euro. I think that's right. Yeah, yes, that's right. But they are part of the European area. And Denmark would appear at the highest, number one often on happiness charts, of all the countries of the world. They don't have much wealth disparity. Their social services are first class. They take care of you cradle to grave, and everything was wonderful, equitable, and a perfect example of what could have been called in the old days the Swedish model or the Scandinavian model. But during the recession, unemployment started to go up an awful lot, so an awful lot of money had to be taken out of government coffers to pay for the social services that were promised, and everything got very, very tricky, and they had to get a big loan in, gave a big stimulus out, and have got things going again. But it's a question now of Denmark trying to find a happy medium. They've righted the ship, the herring trawler, but can the herring trawler go and start money coming back in again? Will they find a happy medium in creating money and maintaining this wonderful social state that they have? It'll be a miracle if they choose just the right level. Finish with chart of the day, and it's the price of gasoline in the United States, and it's quite an interesting chart because it goes back to 1980 when the price was $3.50 a gallon at the pump, and it trickles all the way down, we could say, to post 9/11 when it was under 1.5, but since then it's gone back up again and is now through 3. So it's not as though the United States is a total stranger to gasoline prices over $3 a gallon at the pump, but back in 1980 things were very, very different. Can they afford it now is the thing, without really hurting? That could actually be the story of 2011. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.